Everybody. Hello, hello. Surprise. Hopefully you're as surprised to see me as I am. Hi, everybody. Welcome. All right, so today we're going to be talking about allowance. OMG, really excited. Okay. So, hi everybody. Welcome as you're joining. It's a spontaneous live. Have you missed me? I've missed coming on. So, today we're just going to talk about allowance, and I'm going to share a little bit just about some ahas that I have recently had. And at the start of this, I almost started crying. So, I'll tell you why. So, recently, I have had a lot of stress going on in my personal life, a lot of stress going on between my son and his dad. And, I didn't realize how much of my life in the last couple of years I had spent fighting with him, right? And like I get on here and I'm like, I don't even want to talk about this, but I'm going to talk about this. And I'm going to talk about it because I think that, so often being in a position of quote unquote being a facilitator, of being a coach, of working with people all over the world, I know when I first got into this business, my expectation of myself was that I had to have everything put together. I had to have all the answers. And what I actually realized is through this journey, what people are most grateful for is the vulnerability and the transparency. And so in this fight that I have been having, I had no idea that the fight was showing up in other areas of my life. So was fighting to be heard, was fighting to be seen, was fighting to get it right, was fighting to get things out to the world. And, it's really interesting because last week something happened where the fight changed and there was a breath and a right? And so I don't know if any of you, right. Sevi says, same with good morning from London. Hi, Haley, I miss you. Are you coming to visit from a French owl? I love my French owl, Sevi. You're amazing. And so what I'll talk about this because even if it just impacts Sevi, but I imagine there are other people out there that are single parents and they're trying to figure out how to co-parent. And the only thing that we've been taught to do is to fight. Now, I didn't honestly know I'd be talking about this, but apparently I'm going to talk about it. So I didn't realize how much I'd been fighting. And then that fight was going into every area. I was going into fighting with my finances, going into fighting with my business, going into fighting with people who actually desire to have my back and see me have a better life. And so this last week, my son's dad and I, now we were married, we were together for 10 years. And 5 years ago, actually 5 years ago tomorrow, around this time, we made the choice to change our dynamic and change our relationship and no longer be husband and wife and no longer live under the same roof. And this last week, I chose to do something and like literally talking about it, I want to cry, but I chose to do something that I never thought I would do. And I chose to do something that scared the crap out of me. And so for the last couple of years, we haven't really been getting along. It's been getting harder and harder. And I chose to show up and just barriers down, no matter what I thought. I chose to apologize. And my friends, an authentic apology goes such a long way. Now you might not be fighting with someone in your life. You might be fighting with your body. You might be fighting with your business. You might be fighting with you, right? And you might be at war with yourself, up late at night, having anxiety, stressed out, whatever it is. What I want to invite you to do is, what if you could apologize to either whoever it is in your life, or you could send an apology to yourself. Okay. And so I know that sounds really crazy, but when we admit, like, where we might have been fighting, where we admit we're trying to be right, where we admit that we need to be right, right? It can soften everything and make room for this little magic pill called allowance, right? So allowance to me is really truly exactly that. And I got allowance really from the Tools of Access Consciousness, from Gary Douglas and Dane here. And allowance is this energy of softening, of having absolutely no point of view. See, we're taught that we're supposed to side with people. We're taught we're supposed to align and agree, or resist and react. And our people are the people who agree with us, right? Not our people are the people who don't agree with us. And I want to offer something totally different, which, what if neither had to be true in order to create your future? Okay, I'm going to say that again. What if neither had to be true in order to create your future? Say what? So, right, what if you didn't have to align and agree? What if you didn't have to resist and react? Now, I look at this in, in regards to the no judgment diet. And people always say to me, Katherine, like, what is the no judgment diet? So I met with my hosts from around the world today. So we are doing live events in London, in Paris, in Aspen, Colorado, and in Hungary this fall. And I'm so excited. And a lot of the hosts were like, it's about diet, right? It's about food, right? It's about body. And we actually got into this really amazing conversation. And I smiled, I paused, and I smiled for a second. And I said, it's not really about that at all. And everyone was like, wait, what? Some of them knew it, but I said, the no judgment diet is actually about creation, right? But here's what I said to everyone. I said, how many people on the planet do you know right now that don't judge their bodies, that don't judge their age, that don't judge their appearance, that don't judge their food, that don't judge their choices, right? Aw, I love you, Sevi. Yeah, I love it. So they, I don't know a body on the planet that doesn't judge themselves. And so the no judgment diet, it's not about food. It's not about diet. It's not about getting it right. It's not about necessarily losing weight, although all of those things happen. The no judgment diet is recognizing where you default into the rightness and where you default in the need to be right, which actually is not allowance, it's a fight. And when you fight the need to be right, you cannot be aware of creation. You cannot be aware of the next choice to make to change your life. Hi, sweet Beverly, I miss you. My friends, it's getting close. I'm coming to London in October. But so what I wanted to say is, where are you not in allowance of every energy, right? So we get these ideas in our head that the way to be successful, the way to create a business, the way to make money, the way to change our body is to be right. Right? Like, I got to be right. I got to be right. I got to be right. And so we try to be right. And that is not the energy of allowance. Allowance allows for you knowing that if you are an allowance and you have the energy of your future, then you can allow how it shows up rather than fight for it to show up. Hopefully this is making sense, okay? If you guys are with me, you getting this? Everybody getting this? Thumbs up or hearts if you're getting this. Is the need to be right is not allowance. And when you think you need to be right about your business, about your life, about whatever it is, when you think you need to be right, what you will do is you will fight things into existence instead of be the source that allows things to create themselves. Is this an aha? Are you guys getting an aha? I'm getting an aha, right? And so it's so fascinating to me is I know I am a fighter. I know I'm a bulldozer. I know I try and force things into existence. And I had no idea how much I was actually fighting. So Gary Douglas and Dane here actually just did a call recently called End the Fight. And it was really amazing. I knew I had to be on it because I knew that there were areas of my life where I was fighting to be right, fighting to, fighting to prove somebody wrong, which is not a good energy. So this last week, I saw all of these places where I'm just going to say this and saying it makes me want to cry. I saw where my son was in conflict between him and his dad because we didn't actually give him choice. We put him in the middle of a fight. And not intentionally, but energetically. It's not like we were like, hey, your mom says this. And no, just because his mom and his dad were fighting, he could feel the energy and was then choosing behaviors that weren't really in alignment with who he is. And so this last weekend, when there was an apology, when I chose to apologize, right? And we both showed up together, it was like this change. And I looked at it, I went, I think we just changed the entire course of our future. So why I'm saying that is where in your life, hi everybody, welcome you guys, where in your life are you not in allowance of trusting that the creation will occur if you allow everybody to be who they are? You don't have to align and agree with them. You don't have to resist and react to them. You just have to be an allowance of where they're functioning from, an allowance of where you're functioning from, and see if you can change it. Okay, does that make sense? You guys getting this? It's a huge topic, right? And I've been away for probably a week from Facebook Lives, from Instagram, from being live in general. Was at a wedding, and then I decided consciously to take the weekend off to completely turn off everything and be with my son. So that made a really huge difference. Oh, cool. Fernanda says I'm doing the same. Okay, so my friends, if you know somebody, if you are, fighting with somebody in your life, you're fighting, your children's mom or dad, or you're fighting with your coworkers, or you're fighting with your parents, or you're fighting with your kids, or you're fighting with your relationship. What if you did not need to agree in order to create something greater? What if you didn't need to get it right and you didn't need to get it wrong in order for somebody to win? What if literally there was just an allowance? And so the tool from Access Consciousness that I use all the time that changes everything is what's right about me I'm not getting. Now, I don't mean like, hey, I'm right. But usually when we're in a fight, we try to take sides. Instead of being in allowance and being in awareness of where you're functioning from and what's true for you. So what I want you to take a second to look at is, what do you know is true for your life? What's important to you, right? And do you need to fight for it, or can you create with it to invite a different possibility? Right? Do you need to fight for it? Hi, sweetness. Do you need to fight for it, or can you be in allowance of creating a greater possibility? And this is the piece, my friends. Allowance is such an important piece because most of us, without even knowing it, and I know this is true for me, is my whole life, I was taught to side with people. Okay. My whole life, I was taught to side with people. So either side with them if you align and agree, or side against them if you don't agree. And you know what? When you do that, does that create choice, or does that create a fight? And I hate to admit this, but there are so many areas of my life where, when I was trying to be right, when I thought I was wrong, this fight came out. And guess what showed up? Separation, judgment, judging me, judging others, judging where people are functioning from, judging where people should be functioning from. And none of that is a kindness to creating a greater future. And so if you're sitting here and you're like, OMG, Katherine, I am through this right now, what I want you to do is, if right now you were to write an apology to the person, to you, to your body, to your business, write an apology or voice record an apology, really, truly, what would you say if you were willing to be wrong? What would you say if you were willing to be an allowance of maybe the fact that you didn't make the best choice, or there is a different choice available? And if you could be an allowance of where the other person is functioning from without needing them to side with you, what difference and what different choice is available? So I learned this tool of allowance, obviously from Gary and Dane and from the tools of access. And one of the things that you can do with allowance is, allowance truly is just being interesting point of view. So if somebody tells you off, right? I had a lady, actually, this is crazy. I had a lady this week. I scared her, and she came up to me and confronted me, like right here, right? Like right here, and was so angry, so angry. And she just like, and in that moment, I lowered my barriers, right? I saw where that she was scared. I saw where she was functioning from. Instead of trying to be right about my choices, instead of trying to be right, instead of trying to make her wrong, I just said, I'm sorry. And she was still pissed and stormed off, but it was like, okay, I can change that energy. So, my friends, what extension of allowance, being an allowance of you, being interesting point of view with your business, with your future? Nobody, and I hope you guys get this, nobody needs to agree with you in order for you to create your future. Let me say that again. Nobody needs to agree with you in order to create your future. Aha! So, my beautiful, amazing friends, I just want to invite you today, as we're talking about this, where are you fighting? Where are you fighting to be right? Where are you trying to get it right? And what if you lowered your barriers and asked a question? So you asked, if I was being in total allowance and didn't need to fight to get it right or fight to feel wrong, what choices would I have available? And here's the deal, my friends, is so often the response that you get back is an energetic response. It's like, it's a whisper, right? It's not a roar. So just want to invite you out. Oh, I adore you guys. So if you were willing to be wrong, if you didn't need to be right, what future could you change, and what would be different if you stopped for a second and were willing to be interesting point of view? So that's all I got for you. Real quick, wanted to say hi, and that's all. So I want to say thanks for being here. If you know somebody who's going through a hard time right now, please feel free to share this video. And I will see you guys on the other side. So thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. And bye for now.